And few clues, little information, and now the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation says the FBI is helping in its search for the two mothers who disappeared almost 2 weeks ago. Police say Veronica Butler and Jillian Kelly vanished while they were driving along Highway 95 from Kansas to Oklahoma 12 days ago. Butler's car was found about 1,000 feet off the highway on a dirt road. Police say Butler was on her way to pick up her children. She was involved in a child custody battle, and Jillian Kelly was Butler's court-appointed monitor. Joining me now is NewsNation national security contributor Tracy Walder. Tracy, we know the FBI is joining the search effort, but we don't know in what capacity. What services can the FBI actually provide in this situation?
Well, thank you for having me, Nick. So really, the FBI is joining in a resource providing capacity. They have been asked by the OSBI to do so. Basically, the way that it works in a case like this is OSBI is the lead investigator, and they have to ask for the FBI's help. Now, this is a multi-state investigation. Thus far, you have Kansas and you have Oklahoma. So theoretically, the FBI could have some jurisdiction here, but that's not why they're being brought in. Most likely, I suspect they're being brought in to provide technical assistance. So as we've mentioned before in regards to this case, there's really not a lot of cell phone towers and those kinds of things. They may have retrieved the individual's phones and may need assistance in processing that data. And that is a lot of times why the FBI is brought into these investigations.
And Tracy, in stories past, you've told us how more often than not, investigators know more than they share with the public. If FBI profilers are introduced into this investigation, where will they start and how will that actually help the case?
So in my opinion, if they bring profilers in, I think the biggest key to this case, and I've talked about it before, is what made them pull over. Was their vehicle rammed off to the side, or did they see someone they know on the side? And so I think that is going to be critical in terms of building a profile of what may have happened to these individuals.
Tracy, two quick questions for you, though. Is it unusual for the FBI to get involved nearly 2 weeks into a missing persons case? And why would the local authorities not ask for the FBI's help earlier if that's the case?
So it's actually not unusual for them to come in later, particularly if it's a case that's technically not a federal crime where they wouldn't have primary jurisdiction, because again, per the law, they have to be asked to come in. And so it's actually not unusual. In the case of Kohberger, they weren't brought in right away either. It was a little quicker than this, obviously, but they were brought in at a later time. So it's not unusual for something like this to happen.
And Tracy, you mentioned Kohberger. That was the example I was thinking of when I thought about you, because you talked about how investigators more often than not know more than they actually share. But people on the ground are saying there are no visible signs of an active large-scale search, no grid search, canines or police command center. If police are not looking for the women where the car was found, then where are they focusing their search?
Right, and that's an excellent question, and you're right. There is no grid search. There are no dogs out or anything like that. And so I really do think that they do know more in regards to this situation, and that they know that the women were taken immediately to a secondary location. And so what that tells me is perhaps there's evidence of another vehicle being present, and they are focusing on that secondary location.
Tracy, one last question for you before I let you go. NewsNation has reported that Butler was involved in a bitter custody battle and had just filed a petition with the court for more visitation rights, and she was seeking full custody. How does the custody dispute impact the investigation?
I think it impacts every aspect of the investigation. I think it's the first place that law enforcement started in terms of looking at a suspect, and I suspect that's why the family is being asked to be quiet at this point in time.
Tracy Walder, once again, thank you for your insight and analysis. I love when you break it down for us. Thank you.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. Also, don't forget to click that red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.